Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. As soon as we start this program, you could pick up your telephone and give us a call. The number to call is 442-0175. Remember, you dictate what we speak about. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socioeconomic issues. There's a war going on between Israel and Hamas. Venezuela is getting agitated and aggressive against Guyana. And the war between Russia and Ukraine is not over. And all these things have negative consequences for the Caribbean. We in Grenada have our own issues here. It's here about attempt to teach sodomy in school, irrespective of what name they call it. It's sodomy. And there are times some people must be a little bit more salty in what you believe. You can lose your saltness. I notice a lot of our women in our country, particularly with children. Remember, when Jesus Christ said, "Women of Jerusalem, weep for yourself and your children." Right now, Christ might have said, "Women of Grenada, weep for your children and your man." We have to be more salty. We have to be more purposeful. We have to be more directional. We have to be more assertive. We have to be more hungry for some of the basic fundamentals. You constantly look in our country and it seems that we are watered down in what we stand for. The Prime Minister said morality is a private thing. Serious statement. The church is separated from the state. Serious statement. While these things going on, you see growing insensitivity for the weak, for the elderly, for the disadvantaged children. We have to be concerned about the people. Remember, no matter how young you are now, you will get a little older. You may not reach as Auntie Alga, 106 years. I do hope her children and grandchildren and her neighbors treat her with tender loving care. Humble person. Come from a village of a low socioeconomic status. Life must have been tough. Life must have been hard. But the humility of the individual and God's grace, 106 years. We must be proud of her, particularly the men in the community. Perhaps you need to give her a bouquet of flowers. Our men seem to be crude and rough and angry and upset, particularly young men. Why you are so angry? How much time you went up Mount St. Catherine? And life sometimes is like going up Mount St. Catherine. It's rough. Sometimes you have to be pushing the person in front of you. And sometimes they have to be pulling you up. If you believe that people have done injustice to you, what's about your parents? If you believe you're seeing trouble now, what's about your parents? What's about your grandparents? What's about your great-great-grandparents? What's about the days of slavery? What's about 100 years ago? When there was no electricity and no telephone, and we used to use pit latrine. And school was for a very few with pale color. Today, Grenada is in a good position. We have schools available for people to go in. We have electricity, telephone, water, and internet. And we could well say, if we do a comparability with the Caribbean, Grenada is second to none. Better than most, and comparable with the best. You have about 58,000 registered vehicles in this country. A population of 100,000. You have about 40,000, over 40,000 landowners. It means that perhaps we have more landowners than any other country in the Caribbean or perhaps any other country in the world. We have freedom galore on the radio station. The mere fact that somebody like me is on radio means you have a lot of freedom. If this program was in Iran, Russia, or North Korea, perhaps I would have gone to the great beyond long. They are intolerant. We have one of the best network of roads in the country. We export 4 main products: cocoa, nutmeg, soursop, and fish. And we have over 60 other products that we can export to the United States market. But we don't have it here in any serious quantity, from bread nut to sopadilla. We need to do more. We have an education system that the buildings, the structure is relatively good when you compare it with other countries in the developing world. Our teacher to children ratio is better than most developed countries. In every primary school around you, you have a principal, you have a deputy principal, you have a secretary, you have 2 cooks or 2 people cooking, you have cleaners, you have security guards, you have somebody for when children hormones jumping up in their body. You have people to go and talk to them. I think they call them counselors. You have coaches. The questions we have to look around us and ask, with all these positives, what is wrong with us? Too much of our young men are in the job market as if they do not have an engine or a piece of sin. Yes, caller, welcome.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
Mr. Pierre, I'm trying to find out, so maybe you could help me. Because for years now, I'm trying to figure out, I've been scoping out leaders in Grenada. And maybe you could tell me if you could name 3 leaders in Grenada. Leave out Dr. Mitchell. Leave out Dr. Mitchell on both sides, on the NDC and the NNP. If you could name 3 persons that you think could run Grenada at this time. Because I asked that question over 10 years ago, and I don't think I get an answer for that. That's why we got Dick Mitchell. That's why we got Dick Mitchell. Just look on both sides, Mr. Pierre, and be honest. And remember, what I'm telling you is very serious. We had Nazimbok before, and that was a failure. Right? We had Timon Thomas before Nazimbok, and that was another failure. Now, on the NNP side, we had Dr. Mitchell, who run things for so many years. But tell me one person on the NNP side who could become the leader. Because for years now, I haven't seen any leader in Grenada. You know? We had Maurice Bishop. Because we had Buffett, hold on a while. Ben Jones. Mr. Pierre, all the leaders done, you know. Now we're looking for new leaders. And Mr. Pierre, I cannot find one. Not even one. And Grenadians have a right to look at those things. Who are the leaders? But 10 years ago, I looked at Evelyn Pierre. But you know what happened, Mr. Pierre? These leaders who might be a leader in the future, they have here the way of Grenadians deal with politicians. Right? We had this man that went aboard, I think it was Sylvester or whatever is there. You know? And these men, we thinking that they're going to try, but they're scared. We had a Akima, Dr. Mitchell tried to bring her into the group. But they don't have, according to Andy Williams, the belly and the guts. Because they have fear into them. So I don't know, Mr. Pierre, you could bring up that sometimes and trying to find leaders in Grenada. We don't have any. That's why Dr. Mitchell is so reluctant to walk away. We don't have leaders. Thank you, Mr. Pierre. I'm listening to you.
Yes, scholar. You open this question so broad that you give me so much room to demele. Because you did not ask the question in terms of people who are actively involved in the politics now. I think one of the problems we have here, not one of the problems, one of the challenges we have here, we want to manage democracy too much. We want to manage democracy too much. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother. You saved me from answering a nice question. Thank God.
Well,
Thank God.
Well,
Go right ahead.
am I strengthening what the guys did to try to answer?
Go ahead.
Mr. Pierre, let's go down back memory lane, from 1974, right, and to this present time, 2024. And let us do a deep dive and see which is the leader that govern the Grenada and Caribbean Diplomatic with distinction and bring the most development to the people of Grenada, Caribbean Diplomatic. See who is the leader that top in the list and the one who comes second. Right? The one who comes first and the one who comes second. And the one that these two leaders, we will focus on the one that comes first. Look at the track record of that leader, which is Dr. Kit Mitchell, and see the amount of achievement that he brings to the people of Grenada, Caribbean, Peter Martinique. See the amount of achievement. And the achievement is wide and clear for everyone to see. And when you look at the achievement and development from Dr. Mitchell and his NMP party, the negative things that came behind that is he is the leader getting most attack, the most ridicule. Because what are they ridiculing for? Because of the achievement and the achievement of what he did for the people of Greater Caribbean Peter Martinique. Right? And I always say, if you're ridiculing a man for doing good for the people, I will say kudos for you saying things about a man, because when you look at this NDC government, I do believe, Mr. Pierre, because of the success of Dr. Mitchell, and they see Dr. Mitchell as a successful leader of the country, a lot of people jealous him and want to do like he, and want to be like he. But I always say there's one Dr. Mitchell, right? One Dr. Mitchell. And no one will come as close as what Dr. Mitchell did for the good and the development of the people of Caribbean Peter Martinique. I'm sorry, I want to say something again to the Grenadian people. You have to know people. Look at people's track record. If a man don't like people, I will fight it against people. Right? When you have a little power, you greater people, do you all believe when you give him more power, he will love people? The more wickedness he will do to the people that he governing. And I say, for solving and to solve with distinction, you have to call Dr. Mitchell. And if, as the Prime Minister said, he is professional. And if you are professional, that will make you a good leader. That will make you a leader that solves with distinction. What will make you solve with distinction is the love and the care, and then seeking the interest of everyone, not seeking the interest of some and turning back on others. So, you have a blessing.
Yes, it's a nice, and you give me more room to run from the man question. But it's not my habit to duck. Eric Gary, Keith Mitchell, and Maurice Bishop has been the three most impactful leaders in Grenada. Eric Gary and Keith Mitchell has been the most productive and stabilizing this country. And both of them have to be placed in a special category. Maurice Bishop was a great orator. He was charismatic, People love him. He had exciting ideas that had a lot of young people, the intelligentsia, the international community. He had ideas that had them on fire. And he was able to present it orally in a glowing form. But Maurice Bishop did not believe in democracy. Maurice Bishop believed that religion is the opium of the people. And very quick, he clashed with the traditionalists. He clashed with the church. He clashed with the old GNP. And instead of having tolerance, Maurice Bishop decided to jail them. So he jailed 3,000 Grenadians without charge, without trial, without an opportunity to defend themselves. People were castrated, and I only speak about one because this one reached the courthouse. Clotilda was executed. Maurice Bishop singled out Rose Hill, not Rose Hill, Montreach and the surrounding villages, and Tivoli and the surrounding villages for special prosecution. A great, impactful leader turned bad. Those who try to promote the glorious revolution is a lie. But one of the challenges we have, we want to manage democracy too much. Anybody who is a member of a party must be able to challenge the leader. So if you have your convention, anybody who is a member could challenge the leader. When a leader is successful and is doing well, normally some individuals don't challenge the leader. Sometimes out for respect for the leader. And it makes no sense challenging a leader. Sometimes people feel that if it's a foregone conclusion that you cannot muster support among the delegates. But we have a democracy. So I always say, let the democracy play on. And if you want to challenge the leader, challenge the leader. Now there's a number of people who could lead the party. And let me take NDC first. Nothing is wrong with Dick Mitchell per se. There's a lot of Grenadians that like Dick Mitchell policy. The problem from my perspective with Dick Mitchell policy, it is hostile and aggressive against low-income people, the physically challenged, the marginalized, and disadvantaged children. When Dick Mitchell was selling himself, he lied to this group of people. And I hold him for that. He lied. Why did he lie? If he did not lie, they would not have voted for him. Now, the people who is in academia, the intelligentsia, successful businessmen, successful entertainers, senior public officers, senior teachers, senior policemen, NDC is a good government for them. NDC drop tax. NDC pay tuition for people who could already pay. They take out money from the lower income to give it to people who don't need. Yes, caller, welcome. All right, we lost that caller. So the problem we have with NDC is not that they are not good leaders. There are several people in NDC that could lead the party. But because they lie and they deceive the masses, when they're in power, the masses take them to task. Yes, caller, welcome. They lie and they deceive the masses. When they masses, yes, caller, welcome. Maybe your phone You have to cut off your radio. Yes, you have to cut off the interview. Whenever you're calling, you must cut off the radio or the television or the cell phone you're using. Otherwise, you have a delayed broadcast. So this is a challenge. So I always say to people, yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller,
Yes,
welcome. All right, so let's
just joining you. I want to say, which is not surprising, that Her Majesty opposition give a good account of himself on behind the headline. This gentleman was able to answer every question he was asked. He did not fumble. Like he had every question he was asked at his fingertips. And it shouldn't surprise the nation, because Dr. Mitchell is an able leader. But I was surprised. There was nothing they asked him which he had to think back what to say. He had everything ready for whoever was questioned. So I want to say congrats. Secondly, in the last election, what gone? I was saying to the electorate, I happened to be on every platform in the PD of St. Patrick West. And my main message was to the electorate, you don't have to love Dr. Mitchell. You don't have to love the NNP. But if you love your country, and if you love your children and grandchildren, the NNP, under the leader of Dr. Kit Mitchell, is the only answer to Grenada. So you have no other choice. And some people argue with me, they say, oh, he did wrong. We go try something else. I said, okay. The same people came and say, you know something? We try something else, and it was. So you see, I told them the answer to Grenada was that very institution, and some didn't understand. So now it shows itself. Who want to challenge me? Challenge me. It shows itself that at the moment up to this present time, that is the answer to Grenada. And I still continue to say that is the answer to Grenada, because nobody cannot prove that we got it betterment. A long time I did not move around. I went to the town of Sutton yesterday, and I met some young lady walking the street. I said, who are in C4? I said, what happened? How are you all dressing like that? The ladies and laughed. You know what she said? One said to me, we had to invite the men. I said, why? $100 cannot buy anything. This is when you go to the supermarket or wherever. One say, I have to have a man for the fishing, one for the light bill, one. I said, this is what Grenada.
Sometimes they may be making fun. Sometimes they're just kicking around. Because normally they are not so liberal with their expressions. So they must have been kicking around.
Some of them give me that little, I even laugh at the joke, but I say, well, I can't understand. I say, Grenada come to that. One said, yes, one is very knowledgeable of what she said. She said, you're hearing about raise of salary. You're hearing about this one getting, but the money is not trickling down on the ground to the poor and vulnerable.
Caller, that's the point I was making. And I think it's because of the policy of the National Democratic Congress. Every time they come in power, the same things play out. Because their policy does not target the lower income group. Nothing is wrong with that. But when they were selling themselves in the campaign, they deceive people. That is my only issue with the NDC. But it doesn't mean that within the NDC, you have a number of people that could be good leaders based upon the policy that they have. But when they are selling themselves, they know that people in the lower income group look for assistance and help from government the most. And they ought not to so blatantly lie and deceive these people. So when we talk about leadership, anybody could lead NDC. Any one of the members there, now in the party, could lead NDC. Dennis Cornwall, Lennox Andrew, who is the other one? The Minister of Education. Any one of them could lead NDC. When they are selling themselves, they must not tell lies to the people. Yes, caller, welcome. We lost that caller. Caller, punch. Yes, caller, punch.
Yeah, are you hearing me?
Go right ahead, caller.
Are you hearing me?
Punch.
Yeah, I'm saying pertaining to the celebration that we intend to have next month, Independence. I think the government is mixed up with it too. They're speaking about independence, but they're already speaking about revolution. They're not really celebrating independence. They're celebrating the independence because the revolution. Because throughout, you're not hearing them speaking about the history of the independence. Take for instance, when last you heard them speak about the father of independence, we speak about the father of independence, but they're not speaking about it at all. No way. They speak about the revolution instead. So the head is in the wrong place. The head is in the wrong place. They're celebrating revolution because that's what the Prime Minister called on Maurice Bishop to help him with the governing of the country. So the point is here, they are celebrating the revolution and they must get themselves together, come back and see if we could celebrate our independence, because that's what the majority of people are thinking about, independence, because that's what you told them, but you're lying again. And I think it's about time that we really catalog the amount of lies that this man has spoken to us throughout his period in office. Yeah, because he said he's gonna make a lash pen and everybody gonna be okay. He speak about he gonna build how much factories, and he gonna the trucks he gonna send through to pick mangoes and things, mangoes and golden apple. He gonna send them big trucks to the field to do that. He didn't speak about nutmegs as part of our inheritance. He speak about sending trucks to pick mango. And them monkey and them will glad for a mango, but you're saying truck to pick mango instead. Yeah, and I think it's about time that we recognize where we are. We are supposed to be celebrating independence, not revolution. The time of the revolution will come. So you better put your act together. Know what you want and where you're going, where you're leading the country. You're not a leader if you're leading the country to celebrate revolution. No, we're not in the mood for revolution. We're in the mood for independence. That's what we'd like. Thank you.
Yes, caller. I think the Prime Minister end up in cattle belly crossway. The Prime Minister is a fake, and he end up in cattle belly crossway. He said nothing was achieved post 1983, and maybe they intended to highlight the positives of the revolution, but they didn't want the negative. And the positive of NDC. And now, because of people taunting them, the actions they're taking is an afterthought. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes. Have you ever traveled to the double lane road in Montgomery?
No, sir.
Was that true or that was a lie?
I have never traveled to the double lane road.
in Montmaurice?
No, I've never traveled to Dublin Road. I've
When the
not been in
government told us
Montmaurice.
see that bill that day, has he done it?
Who built it?
Kit Mitchell.
He built it. I've never been there for years.
But you don't know he told us see that bill at Dublin Road in Montmaurice?
I didn't hear that, sir.
Well, I heard that during the election campaign.
I didn't hear it. Okay, thank you, caller.
And you know we discover oil in Malinia?
In Molinia?
Yes.
No, I did not know, sir.
Yeah, he had discovered oil there, you know.
Well, if we discover the Columbus...
Oil and gas.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll get some oil then. Once we have oil in Molinia, that is very good. Because then we have oil in Grenada waters and in Grenada. So once we reach Molinia, that is good. So you see, the Prime Minister makes so much statements, but people are challenging him, and he end up in Kettlebelly Crossway. So now they have an independence celebration, and they are concerned with the positives of the revolution, the positives of NDC, the CARICOM roundabout, and the diaspora. So they're trying to pull in other things as an afterthought to make it look good. So going back to the question the individual asked about leadership. So I make this point to say nothing is wrong with the NDC leadership. But because the NDC in the process of wooing, allowing, or getting the support from the lower income group, they told lies to them. And every time they come in power, the lies they told become their demise. It comes to haunt them. Now, in 1990, 1995, it took place. In 2008 to 2013, the same thing. And now, the same pattern is being played out. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
I'm listening and you're talking about lies and lies. Well, let me tell you something. The biggest lie about telling you is the NMP. They tell us they get oil. Up to this day, you can't see a drop of oil. Mr. Pierre, I listened to Dr. Mitchell last night. I do you know Dr. Mitchell trying to demote Peter David? He's trying to disgrace Peter David.
What did he say?
Peter David did not do it, I'll leave in the damn party.
What did he say? You see, caller.
He said he don't have ambition. That was say. He said, Peter David, you don't have ambition. He said he talked to him, how can I think about, but you don't have no ambition.
Caller.
Can you imagine that?
Caller.
Peter David is saying that?
Caller.
Yeah.
Coming from you, I must ask what he said, because I know you don't have no love for Kit Mitchell. So I know once, caller, you know how I like to promote the truth. When I ask you what an individual say, you must tell me what he said. If you don't know what, caller, don't tell lies on him. We can't do that.
You tell lying on yourself. Kit Mitchell say you would not pay.
All right, you see, we have to be, we're coming back to the leadership issue. So that is one of the big problems with NDC. It's not that the people in NDC cannot lead NDC. One of the problems with NDC is that they always lie to the people in the lower income group. They deceive them. And when they come in power, these people try to hold them to task. And they give the opposition a free road to run. Now let's talk about NNP. Because the guy was asking me a specific question, and I'm not joking, about leadership. The NNP main policy is always sensitive to people in the lower income group. The NNP will always do things to try to satisfy, appease, please, attract people in the lower income group. That is where the NNP major supporters. You don't expect much lawyers to support NNP. You don't expect much doctors, senior public officers, senior teachers, university graduates, even the majority of people in the established public service. You don't expect them to readily support NNP. NNP main support come from the marginalized, the lower income group, the physically challenged, the poorer people. You're going to find a lot of low-rank public officers supporting NNP. That is where they get a bulk of support. So NNP, when they're going after election, they may try to woo people in the higher echelons of society. But they have a natural play with the people in the lower income group. So let's talk about, because they have that policy, let us talk about leaders that can lead NNP. And he say he ain't talking about Kit Mitchell. Oliver Joseph is an individual who could lead NNP with ease. Emmeline Pierre, Peter David, Miss Modest, Yolande Bain, Mr. Steele, Chester Humphrey, all of them could lead NNP because it is easy for them to function among the lower income group. None of them would not dismantle the Imani program. None of them wouldn't take money from old people. None of them wouldn't take money from the physically challenged and disadvantaged children. All of them believe that those who could pay must pay and should pay. So you don't expect any one of them to drop the template of the taxation system from $3,000. You don't expect them to bring it lower. You expect them to do a lot of infrastructural work that reach the poorer person in the country. You expect them to invest more in primary education. You expect them to help you more in the health and polytechnics and medical stations because they know that the mass of the support comes from that area. So NNP have a lot of people in it that could lead them. You don't expect a new leader will come and able to walk in the footsteps of a Kit Mitchell or a Eric Gary. No. These leaders was exceptional. But they could easily lead the party and maintain the stability of the country because the lower income group going to be hopeful. They're going to feel there is a chance. They're going to give them a second chance. Whereas NDC is a group of individuals that always believe they're better than people. They're brighter than people. They're smarter than people. Look at the language they use. They refer to people in the lower income group as classless. How 50 years after independence, a Grenadian who has tertiary education could call Grenadian people classless, eat-a-food people, greedy and needy, nasty people. All these words and utterances come from an NDC. You don't have to believe me, you know. Play the devil's advocate if you're an NDC member and take on a hardline NDC. And the first criticism you make, he asking you if he's a traitor. He calling you dunce. Sometimes they don't even know you. And when they realize you have a briefcase, a certificate like them, they say, well, then you're a traitor. That is the NDC philosophy. So the issue in Grenada is not much a question of leadership, but a question of policies. The NNP have a number of people that work together for a very long time. So they have a level of tolerance for their fellow men. And the policy of these individuals are generally the same. So you expect less conflicts from them. Whenever you have moderates in the NDC does dilute their significance. Now, don't believe me. Go back in NDC history and look at all the people they fire from NDC, or they dilute their significance. These people, is very easy for them to function in a party like NNP, because they are the ones that would be showing concern about the ordinary man. When you hear a prime minister of a country calling people beggy, look at the disdain, the contempt on the prime minister's face. Don't believe when I speak. And you know I don't show no, you call them pictures or whatever. I don't show. Go and look at the prime minister's face. Look at the disdain, the contempt on his face when he called people beggy. The only reason advance for the prime minister cannot stay in the designated government house provided for prime ministers, including Tillman Thomas and Kit Mitchell function there, is he will be overlooking classless villages. Look at the regularity with which the prime minister and his group of team traveled. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. We lost that caller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, punch.
Mr. Pierre, three questions. Well, not question, one question. Who is the political leader that beat all the leaders that NDC had in the country? Name him.
Who is the what?
On all occasions. Second, who is the leader of the political party that all the NDC leaders that they had so far since NDC became a political party? Their political leader, who is that person?
That beat them up?
That beat all NDC.
Well, obviously, Dr. Kit Mitchell will always be able to beat up NDC. Any member of the NNP, once they maintain that policy, they will always beat up NDC.
Right. And guess what? How many leaders has NDC had prior to become mature? Right? How many leaders had they had prior to become mature? Prior to this election, 2022 election, how many leaders they had?
Well, a lot. They had Andal, they had Mr. Tillman Thomas, they had Persuader, they had a lot of them.
That Andal, right?
Nazim,
that's how we can math, and that's some history for them. So if I don't know, London lesson in math and history, Mr. Pierre, this morning, I was on a public transport and we were discussing Dr. Mitchell after done his interview. And the thing about ISIS. A lady in the bus jumped up, but he not doing ISIS here. You understand? And he started to get on, and the lady started to get on. When I, on the bus now, started telling her one things that NEC doing, you know, she was from come to Grenville, she had not hush. Because she couldn't believe. I said, they believe me. I can play the recording for you. Don't you hear them? And you see how people calling people dogs now and saying mash on radio. They're attacking personalities now. They're attacking the message. Mr. Pierre, you are a person on the radio. You're not a government ambassador. You're not a minister. So you're entitled to your opinion and your views. But when you have people saying or talking for a party and has position in a party like an ambassador, like Terry Forrester, calling people liars and coming on the radio, why is he being paid to be on the radio in the morning time, calling a radio program when he's an ambassador? He's supposed to be doing his job. And he's supposed to be acting in that capacity as an ambassador. And you see, Deacon Mitchell, and I call up a minister, Deacon Mitchell, your mouthpieces and them get it done. And when it do happen, I don't want you not to come together and let it unite. You're calling people dogs, you're calling people clowns, all kind of names. And only one look at with them all day, and all they get angry. Have a good day, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, but we still have to make certain that we don't become the people we're criticizing. You still have to be respectful. Nothing's wrong in saying Dick Mitchell or Prime Minister Dick Mitchell. Nothing's wrong with that. Because we are not in addressing him in an official way. But we don't go make an effort not to say Prime Minister. He is the Prime Minister of Grenada, and we have to show respect to him. And if we don't, we will be just as the people who calling people dogs and Morocco and clowns and say the church sucking the anus of a political party. I have great difficulties how members of a political party could endorse the mouthpiece speaking like that. The only person I've heard from the NDC side attempt to correct these individuals is Randall Robinson. The only person I've heard try to correct these individuals and say you cannot refer to people like that is Randall Robinson. And at that time, they seem to turn against him, so maybe he surrender. He must decide he's not swimming upstream. So he joined them. And that is the biggest problem with NDC, not leadership. One individual said, the NDC don't have a leadership problem. They have a referee problem. That is why I called on the ex-Prime Minister Tillman Thomas, Franca Bonadine, Nazim Bok, and William Joseph to go and have a meeting with Dick Mitchell, nudge him, encourage him, beg him, or drag him in front of the Integrity Commission. Because he must retire the gifts that he received from companies or individuals in front of the Integrity Commission. Remember, he said in Parliament, they are professionals, so they cannot be bribed. Later on, I'm going to tell him about Stanley Kakabo. The fact that several members of the NDC are selling passports as agents, that have to be wrong and immoral. The fact that several members of the NDC, as soon as they come in government, took loans from themselves because they set up the GDB board. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre, and how are you?
Great, man.
Yes, well, I was listening and I heard you was asking the, I have to say the all NDC and them to go to talk. They must have a meeting with Deacon.
Yes, I think they should.
Yeah, but they should, but listen again. He would not listen to them. Because remember, when he went in St. Lucia, what he said, they had the power in their hand, and they didn't know how to use it. Because in 2008, they lost. They come back. In 2018, they get their ass cut again. So he would not listen to them. So he is above them. They support him.
Well, they have to go with the ambassador of Cuba.
But when you go and you I can't say you laureate who help you to put you there like that, you're going to tell me that is a prime minister behavior to the elderly people that help him to get there? In 2000, they get the ass cut again. This is any respect to these people and them.
Well, I think
if they don't go to ting him up, I don't disagree with them because that is a big insult to them.
They should go. If they want to walk in this country with their head up, they must go. Because my brother William Joseph has taken issue with the noise we make in the north.
Yes.
And Mr. Tillman Thomas, I understand, acted as Governor General.
Yes.
And Franca Bonadine was on a board, advisory board. And Nazim Bok is involved.
Okay.
So these individuals must go. Otherwise, they cannot, it'll be difficult for them to raise their head and talk about good governance.
Well, he make them shame already, so they must shame to go and to fight.
But when we have internal problems, we must settle it internally. So they must take the ambassador for Cuba with him. The same one that he pulled the ex-prime minister out of the press conference.
All right.
He's a strong character. Join them and make 5. Go and tell Deacon Mitchell, never in the history of Grenada that we have a government and it seems we have a third party dictating of foreign affairs. The Minister of Foreign Affairs was vociferously against the Samoa Agreement. The Prime Minister did not read the document. And while he was speaking, the document had already been signed. It means that there is a third party dictating foreign affairs. So this committee or this group of people who is close to the NDC, they should have a discussion with Deacon. They have to remember and forgive Deacon because he's a political neophyte, a fake. So they have to advise him. You cannot call Grenadians beggy. That don't looking good. You cannot use government coffers as if it's your storeroom or your supermarket. Your ministers cannot go in and draw out millions of dollars from GDB Bank. There is no precedent in Grenada that if you get expensive gifts, you must retire it to the Integrity Commission. And you cannot be the persons signing the CBI program and your company is selling it. You must retire from that and declare to Grenadians how much money you make as a result of that. Otherwise, you open a cesspool for corruption. The Prime Minister have to tell us how much money Ron got in this gracious, how Ron describe it? I can't remember how you describe it. But as a result of getting Ron out of cabinet, the government had to provide financial assistance for him, we heard. So you cannot do that. This is corruption. Mr. Forrester, everybody know he wanted an international passport. But you ought not to use him so openly and blatantly to raise funds for the NDC. Even if he raising funds. But he is the ambassador of the diaspora. So he should function with some level of impartiality because he is paid from the government coffers. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, I don't really want to say it's good, but knowing that Prime Minister and then what is true for the men and them that you need all the men that to call. Even if I go and talk to him and tell him what he do is wrong, he have to stop and change the attitude. They might get whatever that is true for them. Right? They might get what they have to get. Because see, a lot of the men thinking about the pocket, the money.
Caller.
Right? And they don't think about morality. No, I agree with you.
Caller.
Right? And
the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister of Grenada is not as strong as you believe in. The Prime Minister is a fake. Look at what the Prime Minister did. So he's not as strong as he believes. He's making.
I know.
So you people believe he's strong. The poor individual must be lonely. And he must wish they come and talk to him and help him. He may not go to them because of pride. Yeah. But the prime minister is not as strong as you think.
I know.
He's very weak. He bluffing. He's a fake. Look at the prime minister make a statement and he said morality is a private thing. He must regret this statement already. Look at how he make this statement. He go rent 2 planes, he go buy 2 planes. Mr. The prime minister must regret this statement. He must regret what he's saying in St. Lucia. He's a political neophyte and he need help. And these individuals could pull him in a corner and help him.
They could pull him aside. If you like somebody and you love somebody and you see you doing things that is not right, you should go and speak to them. Right? So why you refuse to speak to them? Either they're looking at what they have in store to get.
Well, more of us have to tell them to go and rescue him. The prime minister said he know how to use power. People doesn't say that. Somebody thinks he's saying people doesn't say that. So that shows that he's weaker than you believe. He's not that strong.
Exactly.
Look at Ron, how Ron tests his strength. Ron, the prime minister had to hide the press. Until he sorted, he could have met Ron in some compromise. Because based upon the information we are hearing, we're not certain. We hear $100,000 was asked for and he must not lose pocket. We hear 60,000 was offered. We don't know where is settlement reached. That is not a strong person. That is a person that intends. That is an individual that is using his deep pockets of the state. And the members are ready. They understand that. Yes, caller. Thank you. The Grenada Prime Minister is not as strong as people believe. He come in an area, he don't have the experience, he have made a lot of statements, and he's a weak man. I guess now he's praying for assistance and help. Caller, you got to punch as you end the program, punch. Yes, caller, punch.
Yeah, man. I want you to call the next election on the 1st of April.
Okay, caller, thank you very much. The 1st of April, I believe, is All Fool's Day. And right now, we're in January. The government would not call election. This government going on for 3 years and plus. They're taking the maximum off. They can't afford to call election because those who borrow money from GDP will be bankrupt. They cannot afford to call election because the sister who overrun the bill in the hotel will be bankrupt. They cannot afford to call election because Ron might end up bankrupt. They cannot afford to call election because the prime minister would lose face. So this government making the whole 5 years and 3 months. The last thing Grenadians believe. What we have to hope and pray that the economy of this country don't go in a free fall. That is why I'm asking Tillman Thomas, Franca Bonadine, Nazim Buck, and William Joseph to counsel the Prime Minister. Because it's our country. We can't let the country go back into a free fall. And we're back with you again tomorrow between 12 and 1 when you have an opportunity to punch.